myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you.
Good evening. Welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. It is Geordies here, Geordies there, and delighted to say we are joined by George Mitch, Steve Hasty, Stu Alberley, Steve Wilkinson, and Kevin. Good evening, lads.
Hello, everybody.
Good to see you. And I've noticed one of the very first comments in the chat tonight is Sir Monkey Suit. He says, please, I pray, no ticket talk again. I've seen that word more times in the past week than there are grains of sand on planet Earth. It doesn't even look like a word anymore. It's tedious. Interesting stuff going on with that. It's not going to go away, I'm afraid, as well. I've had inundated with text messages of people today, I'm afraid, Sir Monkey Suit, about this, situation which has developed over the course of the last couple of weeks. One of them in particular is this one, which is from Amanda, who's a good friend of mine, just basically saying that they've really messed up with the ballot for under 14s who missed out on period 3 due to a box office error. They couldn't rectify, then failed to mention that if I'd put him in the ballot on his own, he would just be taken out because he needed to be sat with an adult. Poor Amanda, she sent 4 emails, she's had no reply.
Wow.
And they failed to give the information to anyone that was applying for kids' tickets. It's
Call them bunny rabbits, Steve.
Well, he's been at every home cup game this season, and yet there is people who don't even have season tickets going to the final, and he isn't. So just devastated, as you can imagine, lads.
Well, aren't we devastated for him as well? What a bloody shambles, you know. You cannot help but, break your heart for him. And we're trying to get decent young people to become fans, supporters. There's one little lad we might lose.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. And as I say, we've spoken a lot about tickets on here. It's done and dusted now. The club will have to deal with the aftermath. I'm glad it's not me sitting at St James's Park fielding these phone calls. It'll be an absolute nightmare for anybody. But if you've got any questions for the panel, put them in the chat and we'll come to them tonight. Don't forget, we'll do Ask George probably halfway through the programme. Any questions for George, I'll stick them to one side. Tom Dixon asks a thing here, which is quite topical. What's your thoughts on David Cook being announced as the Carabao Cup final referee? I mean, a lot of speculation that he was a Man United fan. It's been dismissed, that. But, just looking at the results alone, George, he's not the greatest referee where we're concerned. He's booked Jacob Murphy 3 times as well in the last 3 games. I mean, the most unlikely player to be booked, and he's booked him 3 times. But I don't know. Is there a good referee in a final for us? I don't think there's many good referees.
Well, it won't be the first time we've been refereed by the fan of the opposition. Can you remember the referee that refereed against Chelsea, Neil, at Wembley? Or what's his name? He was a controversial character. And he, not only did he say he supported Chelsea, he said he hated Newcastle fans. He hated the Geordies. In the Telegraph, in an article before the match. I mean, and he went ahead and refereed with, so if this bloke's an MU fan, I mean, we'll get refereed by Michael Oliver. Now, I'm led to believe that Michael Oliver can nearly walk to Old Trafford. That's how close he lives. So, hey-ho, I think you've got to take it on the chin. It's football, and if we accept football with the rules, you've got to accept that this bloke will be as fair as any other referee. In fact, now that there's some sort of controversy, he'll be ultra fair, which might go against us more than it will Manchester United. So, it's a double-edged sword. He seems to deny, or somebody's denying that he's a Manchester United fan. It's noticeable that he's keeping very quiet about it, and I don't blame him. Why should he? It's one of those things. You accept it and move on. Otherwise, it would drive you crackers. It could be as much of a heartache as the big ticket situation if you let it get hold of you. No, I'm if that's what the bloke is, that's what he is. But as I say, the danger for us is now that it's been raised, he'll be so fair on the day that'll go against us as well. So no, I'm not bothered about who the referee is.
Yeah, Mitch. I mean, referees play a major part, but it's a lot of chat about this week.
Let's debunk a few myths, and I'll give you my take on it. He's not a Man United fan. All that stuff and all the pictures you've seen, they were done by Liverpool fans after he failed to send Jordan Pickford off for his 2-foot tackle on Van Dijk, and then Van Dijk was out for the season. And that was all done to discredit him as a referee by Liverpool fan and claim he was a Man United fan. There's another article out there that claims he has a Man United tattoo on his forearm, which is patently photoshopped there. So let's get rid of that. My understanding is he grew up in Nottingham. He's a Notts County fan. He does, however, have a lot of connections to Manchester through his time. That's a little potential red flag, because I know people from outside of Newcastle who have a big soft spot for Newcastle United since they came as students, since they came as to live in the area and married Geordies, etc. But aside from that, my problem with him is he's just shit. It's as simple as that.
Be honest, Neil. I thought I brought you up to be honest.
And if you look at the amount of controversial decisions he's been involved in, if you look at the amount of times he's been replaced, either as a referee or as a VAR official, if you look at the amount of decisions he's really got badly wrong, let's talk Chelsea and us last season with handballs in the box and what was a penalty and what wasn't. He's had it not just once and not just twice. We're talking multiple occasions where he's been pulled up, demoted, replaced, taken out the Premiership for a week and stuck in the Championship for a week, because obviously a referee's going to get better at that level. It's a joke, and that's my problem with him as a referee. And I think his appointment as a cup final referee of any kind just tells us how bad refereeing is in England at the minute, because he's awful. There's no other word to describe it. He is a poor referee at best. He's an inconsistent referee at best. And I worry about what kind of madness is going to ensue on the day, particularly if he gets with Fernandes and the Brazilian lads and the others from Man United surrounding him in their groups. Has he got the will and the ability and the mental strength to cope with that? Don't think so. Really don't think so. And that's a problem for me. My problem's not that he's a Man United fan. He's not. I don't believe he is. I just think he's bloody rubbish.
Steve, what's your take?
Yeah, he was born and brought up in Nottingham. His father played cricket for Nottinghamshire, I believe.
Yes.
You know what? No matter who the referee is, there's going to be question marks over him, because the quality of refereeing this season and most seasons has been pretty poor. I listened to a great article today on one of the radio stations talking about VAR and whether the introduction of VAR has had a detrimental effect on refereeing, simply because the referees now rely on VAR, and it takes away that decisiveness and that opportunity to actually step in and make a decision of their own. So I feel as though we're on a hiding to nothing when we're at Wembley anyway. As far as the referee's concerned, I think I look back to 98 against Man United and Paul Durkin, who, again, another referee that we didn't like. We look to 1999, the referee again, that was Peter Jones, I think it was. Another indecisive referee. Most of them are. There's very few of them that you could turn around and go, I'm happy that he's refereeing today. And that's the nature of football at the moment. I think everybody's partisan. Everyone has a question mark over refereeing. And at the end of the day, it's 11 men against 11. Let's hope it's not 11 men against 12. And we just put a performance in and show the rest of the world what we can do in a cup final.
Bring back David Ellery, says political bias. Stu, it's a welcome change. Not talking about tickets. Let's talk about referees. What about the referee appointment for the cup final?
Well, just to make one thing clear, there'll be many refs over the last 2 decades that have got a negative statistic shown against Newcastle results, won't there?
Yeah.
Considering how poor we've been. my concern is similar to Mitch's. Will he handle the spotlight? Because he's not.
Yeah.
I'm going to be kind. He's not in the top echelons of refereeing, you know. So then he'll feel the pressure, and he might get card happy and spoil a game, or he might let too much go and spoil the game, you know. So we shouldn't. The spotlight shouldn't be on the referee. It should be on the players, and there's enough players on that pitch to make it a fantastic occasion for Newcastle to win 3-1. So the one thing again regarding the ref is I know that it was put out there, yes, but he did do some education in Manchester, but that's by the by. The thing to me was, I went on the Man United fans forum and started reading the comments there, and they were overjoyous at the appointment. You know, to the point you'd think that Sir Alex Ferguson himself had chosen the referee. You know, so that could also work in our favour. You know, it could create a siege mentality. But my personal opinion is, irrespective of who the referee is, if our starting 11 turn up, all up for it, all know their game plan and play at the top of their ability, we'll come home with a trophy.
Yeah, Al-Walid, do you know much about this referee?
Well, I read some tweets today. I noticed the mistake he did, especially that foul against Jacob by Chaluba from Chelsea. It was a penalty, and the attack on Wilson by the goalkeeper. So I don't know why they've been choose this. It's good to have at least, if you can't get overseas referee or someone not from England, at least you bring someone without fatal mistakes. So for me, it's weird choice. And to be honest, for me, everything is great in England except referees. Usually when I saw, for example, I remember Saudi Arabia against Mexico was English referee, and I wasn't thrilled. A lot of mistakes. Al Hilal in the final against Real Madrid was English referee, and a lot of fatal mistakes. So maybe this is a tradition in England, but I don't know why they can't bring, for example, someone from Europe or a different country. Better for the sake of the game and at least the fairness of the game.
Steve, a lot of people talking about it this week, isn't there, the appointment?
Yeah, I don't know. Do the EFL choose the referee? I don't know whether, because it's their competition. I don't know who picks it. So, is it somebody that's had, experience in the championship? The thing is, I think we've got.
Well, he has. He's been demoted there a few times.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. They've probably seen more of him than we have in the Premier League, because he's not a name that I remember. I've seen him, obviously Chelsea game, particularly last year, but he's not a name I recall regularly being up here. But I think what we've got to look at as fans is probably the way that Eddie Howe will tell the players is ignore that situation. It's all about what you do on the day, and you haven't got to worry about the referee. You might feel at times where you're playing against, as Stu said, 12 men, 13 if you include the VAR official. But you've got to put that at the back of your mind when you get on the pitch and just play your best and deal with each situation as it comes. And I'm sure that sort of white noise, I suppose you could call it, Eddie Howe will be trying to get that out of the players' mind. So whatever they're reading about it on social media and the press, they'll be told to ignore that completely and focus on what they're doing on the pitch. And I think we've got to do the same as fans and just, there'll be controversial decisions irrespective of who the referee was. We'll not agree with some decision. It's always the case. That's why the referee songs have been around. We don't sing the songs we used to about referees. They seem to be they get away gently these days. From what
don't wear black now, Steve.
Well, that's it. You don't know what colour they use, do you? The same. It's not politically correct to talk about what they do in their bedroom, or their fathers and mothers. All right. So I just think we've got to try and put it to the back of our minds, as I'm sure the Eddie Howe will with the players, and just deal with it on the day. Yeah, Kev, you come across plenty of referees as a coach, I bet. Are there any better?
Oh, don't get me started. No, the phrase is, it doesn't matter what barrel we'll scrape from, we're still going to get the same type of referee regardless. I've just looked up here. He's only refereed 2 EFL Cup games this season. And let me see real quick. It was Man United against Villa in the 3rd round and Man City, Liverpool in the 4th round. So just add that little bit Manchester into it. But again, at the end of the day, we can't control what he does. He makes his decisions based on what he sees, and let him do what he wants to do. We'll just play. We have to play the way we want to play the game in the final. Again, in the phrase over here in the United States is without referees, we haven't got a game, essentially. So it doesn't matter it doesn't matter, because I know Mickey Oliver really well, great referee, but he can't. He would have been probably a good one to chuck in there, but since he's a mate of mine, I like to pick him up a little bit. But yeah, again, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It could be me. It could be a granddad down the street at Wembley. It doesn't matter. I don't really care as long as we play football and control the game and get a victory.
Mark Edward Brown saying, "Who's the VAR officials? Cantona, Beckham, and Scholes?" In other news, Sefton Mag rightly points out that the two are playing in black and white in the final, and rightly so. Couple of questions came in. So, Kevin, I'll give you the option on this one. Michael J says, "Evening, it's 10 p.m. here. I know we're looking forward to Wembley, but it's the Red Bin Dippers first, Man U second, then City. Can we win the next 3 games?"
Yes.
Okay.
Why not?
Okay, Steve.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and I think, you've talked on other shows about resting people on Saturday. I wouldn't do that. I think you play a strong team. I think there might be changes because of, injuries out of last weekend. There's rumours today that Wilson wasn't at training again. So is he going to have an injury issue that's going to drag on longer than we thought? But I would, we've got to beat Liverpool for other reasons. We've got to forget about going forward. I think Joe Linton was on Radio Newcastle yesterday talking about and saying that they're totally focusing on this game this weekend. I find that hard to believe that a player hasn't got in the back of his mind that he could miss out on Wembley the week after. But I think we'll go into each game hopefully playing to our best, whichever team he picks, and no reason why we can't win all 3. At least I would like to see. Well, obviously Wembley we've got to win. Somebody's got to win, but I would like to see us getting a win against Liverpool and putting up a good show and maybe getting a draw at Man City.
Are you confident Al Walid next 3 games, 3 wins? I mean, I do, for some unknown reason, feel very optimistic about the final. I've got to be honest. But can Newcastle do what most of us probably would have thought was impossible this time last year and win those 3 games?
Well, for the final, I share the same feeling. But for Liverpool game, I don't know. Just I thought that the pressure, maybe the record without losing, this is sometimes maybe negative effect. I'm afraid. So I'm not expecting. I expect a draw against Liverpool, but for the final, I feel Newcastle is more than ready for the final.
And Man City?
Man City, after it will depend on the result on the final, I believe.
Okay, Stu?
Well, I said on Sunday that we should go full strength or as strong as we can against Liverpool. And I heard from one of my contacts in Saudi Arabia that the chairman, Mr. Al Ramayan, is flying over with a, shall we say, cortege. And so that would, to me, intimate that the Reuben brothers will be there. We'll have the full board there. So I'm sure the team will want to put on a show for the powers that be. And we touched upon the fact that Liverpool are the only team that beat us this season. And there's no way, any house far too professional to field a weakened team. And I really think, sorry for the phrase, but it means pregnant fish. I think we'll twat Liverpool on Saturday. I really do. And then the final, I'm so confident. Our start 11, how cohesive they are, how well drilled they are, and like they know the rules. Man United, although they've gotten the results they have, road they look, that will run out eventually, and they're very reliant on one player. Maybe we are as well, but I honestly think that our start 11 is better than Man United start 11. The bench, however, is a different matter, and that could play a thing on it. But I expect those two to be victories, and then it depends on Man City and where they are in the Champions League. But I've got no fear of going to City's ground and And if we play the way we want, and you see how we did it at Old Trafford, how we did it at Anfield, how we did it at Tottenham Stadium, how we've done it at Emirates. We went there with no fear. This is our plan, break us down. And by that time, we'll have the pace of the Gordons, the Isaacs, the Almirons on the break to catch them out. And they're not as infallible as they used to be. Man City, they have been creaking a little bit, although they've picked up off the last couple of games, but they're still conceding. And we have the players that can exploit that. So I'm not going to say we'll win all three, but I definitely think we'll win the first two. And I think we'll give as good as we get at Man City, and I'd take a draw now there.
If we win the cup, do you think it'll give us confidence to close the gap to win the league? One thing at a time, Ian, one thing at a time. Why the optimism on the final? I can't explain it. I'm just optimistic. Yeah, I'm usually pessimistic. I'm the complete opposite. Steve, what's your take? Can we win the next 3 games?
Yes, there's no reason why we can't. Although we are going into the final against what is very much a form team in Manchester United. Look at Liverpool first. I'm just looking at their, people are saying Liverpool are back. That was what was said on Monday. They beat a very, very poor Everton in a derby. So let's not sort of push it too much. But you look at the last lot of results. I mean, they've been beaten off Brighton. They've been beaten off Brentford. They drew with Chelsea. They got beat off Wolves 3-0 before, and you're thinking, should we be worried against them? We're worried against the club, Liverpool, not necessarily worried about the 11 players that are currently wearing the red of Liverpool itself and performing on the pitch or not performing. You know what? We could go into City. I think City's a different kettle of fish again. I think a lot of City's form will rely on what we can do against City. Relies on what City do tonight against Arsenal. So I think it's 3 totally different games. I think that's what's fascinating about football. We've got a game on Saturday, as I say, against a team that's not been playing very well. We've got a cup final where everything can go out the window, but we're playing a team that's very much in form. And then we've got a hitty-missy Man City who could be sitting at the top of the league by then. So, let's just enjoy it. Let's just get into it. And if we could come away with 6 points and a cup, God, that would be fantastic, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be. It's not beyond the realms of possibility, Mitch, is it?
No. The question is, can we? Yes, we can. We've gone toe-to-toe with each of those teams this season. We were robbed at Anfield. And what Steve says is quite right, that they beat Everton. But Everton were bloody awful. What Pickford was doing for that goal, that was just ridiculousness personified. They are very poor. And so I do think Liverpool definitely have a crisis of confidence at the minute. And if we can get stuck into them, there's no reason why we can't take 3 points there. Cup final is the cup final. And I think Steve's right again. I think Man U might come into that with a little bit of complacency. Let's remember we went to Old Trafford while Man United with Ronaldo, who was chucking himself around like one of them bloody fish you get out with a Christmas cracker every 5 bloody minutes. And did they ever really threaten them? Not really. And so we know we can take them on. Take them on at Old Trafford, take them on at Wembley. Yeah, bring it on. And Man City, again, we've proved we can go toe-to-toe all the way. We probably should have held on. And it took everything they had to get a point at St James's Park. They took the kitchen sink at it. And I think, again, agree with Steve, that 3 so different games. That the mindset almost in each game probably be slightly different for us. But if the best of Newcastle United turns up for the next 3 games, we can win them all. Because let's be honest, we haven't been playing very well in the last 5 or 6 games. And that form's got to turn around. And when it does, we know somebody's going to get an absolute dry humping. We know that. Probably not one of these 3, but somebody will down the way. And that form has to get better because we're still picking up points and we're still where we are in the league and we're into a cup final. And we can all agree we haven't really played very well. Well, what happens when it clicks again? And if that happens in the next 3 games, You're right. 6 points in a cup will be in 7th heaven. I think I'll probably be changing my flight back to Dubai, and I'll probably go AWOL for a fortnight.
I'll delete this part of the show, okay, if you do that, mate. Just so.
Great, fine.
George, 3 out of 3 would be fantastic, wouldn't it? I mean,
it would, and it's possible with Newcastle United. If the lads can switch on to where they were before the break, it's a no-brainer. We'll get all 3 games without any problem at all. Nothing to fear against Manchester United, in my view. I'm like you, Steve. I can't remember an important match like this where I've felt so optimistic as well. So, you know, it's I feel good about them all. And I suspect that, I don't know, what Neil's saying, I agree with, that sooner or later somebody's going to get a hiding off us. You know where it is? It would be lovely if it was Liverpool on Saturday. It would be fantastic. And the kind of phrase, I would love it. Yeah, I think it's a possibility, Steve, and don't see why not. There was nothing at St James's Park when Manchester City got that draw that suggests to me we can't have a go at them again. I mean, all the pundits that are saying, you know, Neville and others that are saying that we're not going to stick to the top 4. Remember, they're the pundits that were down at this time last year. Impossible, they said, to survive relegation. Well, guess what, folks? We're here, Champions League, in a final, and we're going to stay there.
Fantastic. Great stuff. A lot of optimism on the show tonight, which is what we like to hear. As always, halfway through the show, we have the ad break. Thanks, as always, to our sponsors, Skips and Bins, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3, email inquiries at skipsandbins.com, website skipsandbins.com, easy contract free and pay-as-you-go waste collection. Thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at mrvickies.co.uk, email info@mrvickies.co.uk, or telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to Blowhole Brewery. You can find them at blowholebrewery.co.uk. Beers brewed on the River Tyne. And thanks to United Group Travel Limited, UK Coach Holidays, based in Morpeth, telephone 01670 362 460 and mobile 07957 141 654. Graham, your driver, Beverly answering your calls, looking after you on your tour. Thanks also to 3 Property, who specialise in sourcing investment properties for their clients who are looking to invest in the North East. They offer a full in-house service from sourcing the deals to managing the properties for you. They've done over 100 plus deals in the past 12 months for clients all over the UK. Give the guys a follow on Instagram, matty.patter_northeast property and phil.reed_northeast property, or email phil@3property.co.uk if you're interested in getting a good property deal. Thanks to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wales and Newcastle, and the guys who run our website, nufcmatters.com. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the videos and the technology side of things. If you want to subscribe to the channel, hit the subscribe button underneath the video today. Hit the thumb up to like the channel and click share to your social media. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, and the rest. If you want to become a member, you pay a £25 one-off fee, and you can go to the website, nufcmatters.com, and find membership pack, or put your smartphone over the QR code, and it will take you straight there. If you subscribe, we do give you a free car sticker. All you need to do is email john@nufcmatters.com, and he'll post you one out. We also support the food bank on this channel, nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk. You'll find the match day bucket where you can make a virtual donation. We've also got some events coming up over the next couple of months. First off, we've got an evening with Steve Howie at the Tyneside Irish Centre, Friday the 24th of February. Tickets are available from our website, nufcmatters.com, and they are priced £15, not $50, as you can see on the poster. An evening with Nobby Solano is also at the Tyneside Irish Centre, Saturday the 25th of March. Tickets are £15. Book now at nufcmatters.com. And an evening with Frank Clark and John Gibson, Thursday the 20th of April, again at the Tyneside Irish Centre. Tickets are £15 and you book now at nufcmatters.com. Supermac and John Gibson will also be at Felling Cricket Club on the 16th of February. To buy tickets for that, contact the venue direct. We've got a whole host of t-shirts available from our website, nufcmatters.com. It gives you plenty of ideas for presents, for birthdays, anniversaries, you name it. Get your Anthony Gordon t-shirts and your Wembley t-shirts today. There you go. There's the Wembley t-shirts. People asking what they look like. Tell me Marmy Marge has got the date of the cup final on and the road to Wembley on the back. Thanks to John from QTech for sorting that out. And if you've missed out on tickets, Supermac and Gibbo will be at the NX Fan Zone on Sunday, the 26th of February. They'll be there from 3 o'clock to get your tickets for that. www.fanzonenewcastle.co.uk. Okay, as always on this show, we open up the floor to George. Christopher says, if George could pick one player from the past teams to play in the final, who would it be and why?
Oh, goodness, that's not going to surprise any of you lads. Jackie Milburn, electric speed, cool head. He'd frighten the life out of the current Manchester United team even. So, no, Jackie Milburn without a doubt. Don't have pace like that. Well, we have in Isak and probably Gordon as well. But he was electric. I mean, well before his time, Jackie.
Yeah.
The 3-time cup winner as well, George.
3-time cup final winner, yes, absolutely.
And up until a few years back, the quickest goal at Wembley. So, yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Definitely.
And if he hadn't been robbed in the Blackpool game, the first hat-trick at Wembley as well. But he got his third goal got choked off.
Tim says, question for George, mince pie or steak pie?
Oh, easy. Steak pie. Like to get me teeth into it.
Harry Hogan's got two. He says, which pre-1960s player do you think would have performed best in the modern game? Is that the same answer as?
Yes, there's others though. Ronnie Simpson, the goalkeeper, would have still been a good goalkeeper today. Because he played well at the time when goalkeepers weren't protected at all, in my view, compared to what they are now. And the other one is our old captain, Joe Harvey. Joe Harvey was the style of player that would have went down well today. In fact, he would have enjoyed today's football. Frightened one or two people mind, and maybe he's broken one or two legs. But Joe Harvey would have fitted in.
Barry also says, George, in your day as a player, did you ever worry wish ref was in charge?
Yes. The one and only man ever to send us off was a man called Hennessy. I better be careful because I think he's still alive. But no, I don't think he will be because he's a bit older than me. Hennessy was always my bet on the pitch. And as I say, the one and only person to ever send me off. No sense of humour. I kicked the ball away to stop the team taking a free kick quickly. And he came to us and said, what's your name? And I said, Harry Seacombe. And he said, get off, Harry Seacombe. And that was the end of that.
Classic. And last one. Keith Moore says, George, how many times did you hit the bar? Because Mitch has probably hit it more than you.
Well, a few times. I couldn't actually count how many times, but in the wisdom when Charlie Mitten became the manager and he decided to move us into midfield, I did score one or two goals and hit the woodwork a few times. So once or twice, several times,
Great stuff. Thanks for all your questions to George. We'll have another.
Can I finish with my joke?
Oh, you got a joke?
Yes, so you've got to have a joke.
Neil switched off. Elliot, eat your heart out.
Yeah, here it comes. My neighbour's 5-year-old granddaughter had heard that I'd been sad recently and she said to her grandma, can I tell George me joke? So her grandma said, yes. So here's the joke. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Who's there?
Europe.
Europe.
No, I'm not Europe.
Oh, God.
Dear God. It tickles you, George.
I did.
that's all that
I
matters.
did say she was 5, man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you did. You did. You did.
Tickets, £15 tickets for George at the Irish Centre for that.
It is, we'll add that to the list. Sefton Mark says, evening all. Can you mention, Steve, about the vulnerability of our fans buying tickets off social media platforms and touts? Keep the hard-earned money safe. Yeah, I will. We'll not talk about that, but yeah, just keep an eye out. There is a few unscrupulous people out there who are trying to condemn Newcastle fans to spending their hard-earned cash on tickets that don't exist. So just be very, very careful when you're doing that on all occasions. Not just cup finals. It's getting more noticeable now as the clamour for tickets grows and grows and grows. David also
and if you're really not sure what you're buying, ask the seller if it's in the Steve Wraith stand.
Exactly, yeah, we had that last week, didn't we? David T.E. says, hopefully European football next season, but has anyone noticed where the Europa League and Champions League finals are in 2024? Aviva, Dublin and Wembley. 30,000 in Dublin. So no, I didn't know that, to be honest, but thanks for pointing that out. And moving on into the chat now. Tickets won't go away. David Cook says, did each tier have their own ballot, or was it one ballot for several tiers? Ask the supporters. Trust me, it's a strange old situation. It really, really is. I beg at belief as to how they worked it out. I really do. We've talked about it too much on the show. People are mentioning in the chat. We just need to to bury that. And maybe we'll talk about it on Friday. Let's see what happens. We're coming up to a huge game in the league, Liverpool. It's definitely going to be a revenge mission, George. What formation would you play? I mentioned a little bit earlier with Ross Gregory this week about maybe pairing up Callum Wilson and Isak. Would you consider doing that at some point? Maybe changing the formation, or would you keep the same formation and play your fittest striker, play the one you think is going to get you the goal?
I would play the fittest striker, definitely. I'd like to see Isak in, but I'd also be desperate to find a place for Gordon, especially against Liverpool. And he's somebody that doesn't need to worry about the cup final because he cannot play. So he could give it 100%, which he would do against Liverpool anyway. So I'd want to see Gordon in the side somewhere if that's possible. Other than that, I think, my view is that if we can keep the same team, we should try and keep the same team. On the other hand, if there's some doubt about Wilson's fitness in the sense that he's put them in cotton wool till the final, well, I can live with that. But Isak could go in again and see how that goes. But at the end of the day, I would play a full strength team if I could.
Okay, what about you, Mitch? Would you consider changing the formation? Would you like to see the two of them up front at some point? I've done a podcast with Liam Kennedy for the weekend for Saturday, and I'm not giving too much away. He just said, I think it'll be a sign of failure if he goes down that route.
I think it's going to depend on where Wilson's at with his fitness more than anything else. I would prepare to risk him ahead of the final. I don't want to keep him wrapped up and cotton wool. Yeah. I think there's one no-brainer decision for me. Gordon's got to go in because he can't play in the final, and he'd be champing at the bit to have more Liverpool. And I'd feed him whatever it takes to get him into that frame of mind that he was in when he played against us, and I'd tell him to get up everybody's nose. However you can, get in their face, get up their nose, upset them, irritate, drive them nuts, and then base whatever else you do around that. Because they're fragile mentally. And when they get behind, they don't seem to have an answer to come back. So I'd rather see we're up in their face early on, irritating them any way we can. I don't think there's a need to go to Wilson and Isak. I still think it'll be an and/or. It'll be an either/or rather. But I think whatever he does, Gordon's the key to getting fired up and ready to go Liverpool.
Steve, would you go Go 4-4-2. Kevin Miller suggesting nice is if Wilson's injured, they play Isaac and Maxi up top, Gordon, Joe, Longy in middle, Miggy in the middle, and same back five.
Possibly. I mean, like you said, it much depends on whether Wilson's fit. Obviously, we've also got the issues of at least two out in midfield. I've said it many times. He likes Murphy, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Murphy in the team. I would play Gordon. I always think that the way to beat Liverpool is that they play with the two central midfielders playing so deep to protect the crap back four, because the fullbacks give them no support whatsoever to the central two. So you put pressure on the two up front, and maybe that's why you play front. But it's how you control that midfield, how you control those two that sit so deep they don't come onto you. And you've got to be adaptable at the back, and you've got to be able to be aware that Salah will move left or right. Whether whoever plays alongside him, you can see Gapco. For me, he is a very, very good footballer. And Nunes is a danger, very big style danger. So it's what they perform up front and what we can do to combat that. But the game we won in that central midfield area, and what we can do down the wing against their two fullbacks, because I do think that if you can keep the fullbacks pinned, that then does help to what we can do with our back four. I wouldn't be surprised if Maxi didn't play. I would not be surprised. It wouldn't come as a shock to me if Maxi wasn't in the first 11 and that Gordon was playing. And it wouldn't be surprised if in midfield he played Murphy alongside Joe Linton and Longstaff. And I suppose the other risk was, we know that Maxi was carrying, got taken off, and we know that there was an issue with Almiron as well. It's going to be an interesting one. We'll find out when you tell us what was said at the press conference, Steve, on Thursday. I think that's going to shape what we'll see come Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, Stu, formation change, or would you not tinker before the final?
I think we've talked about square pegs for too long. Why is people looking to change formation too much, playing wing backs, this, that, and the other? To me, the back four plus the keeper picks itself as long as they're all fit. Yeah. And if you are doing a tinker, you got all this. I'll have to disagree with the Hasty, which I don't like doing, saying that Murphy will play. I think the only Murphy that will play for us is the Eddie Murphy lookalike, and that'll be Isaac up front. So he's the only one that'll get a run out. If Wilson's not 100%, then give him that extra week rehab or chance to get fitter. Because to me, he could be key for us winning this cup final. And the people are talking playing Gordon in the hole.Hy? He's got pace to burn. And we all know Trent Alexander-Arnold isn't the best defender. And as Steve did say, let's pin him back. And if you've got Gordon running down the wing at them, he's not going to go forward too often. And he can skid him. I would play, if you just tweak it a little bit, it would be a 4-2-3-1. Having Joelinton and Longstaff holding, with the three of Gordon on the left, Miggy on the right, and I would play St. Maximin in a Roman role behind Isaac and say, go on and run up their defence, because they've got two planks in the centre-half positions at Liverpool, and they're tall, they're cumbersome. And I think with his trickery, if you give him the freedom to say, run at them, he could have a massive game for us this weekend. And then that could force the thinking for the cup final. He has a huge 90 minutes ahead of him, and they talked about a window of opportunity for him. Saturday's, for me, I want it to be the Alan St. Maximin show. And if he plays him in that free role, so he doesn't have to track back as much, because the wing backs have got energy to burn with Miggy and Gordon. Not the wing backs, the wide players. They can come back to track back. And then you've got Joel and Longstaff sitting there. How many defenders do we need? We need to keep the element of surprise up front. Break it, give it to Maxi. Isaac can run, he can cover out wide as well. And I think if we play that formation, I really do think we'll take Liverpool to task.
Al-Walid, Change of formation? Would you go for Isaac and Wilson up front if they were both fit?
Well, it seems now we didn't lose. No need to change the formula. I believe. And I'm thinking of Eddie Howe perspective. Just I think he will not change a thing. Maybe go. And maybe we'll work on tactics for attacking. And the good thing, Liverpool, they will play for a win, not like, for example, Bournemouth or West Ham. They will be the conservative. The defense, Liverpool will play for the win. There will be spaces behind. So I think we are doing great. Just we need better shape in front.
Okay, what's your views, Steve?
Yeah, well, certainly don't change the formation, but I'm concerned about on the left-hand side is to Dan Burn. I wouldn't be looking to replace Dan Burn in any way. Not very long ago, he had a mare on Saturday, but not very long ago he snuffed out Saka at the Arsenal game, but with help from somebody like Joe Linton and in that case Willock supporting him. Who is most likely to help him? And I'm not convinced Maxie's the right man to do that. So I don't know whether Gordon is, but I suspect Gordon's probably better at doing that than that. So I would like to see Gordon playing on the left. I think with probably the injuries with Wilson, if he is still carrying a knock, rest him and play Isaac through the middle again. I do at some stage want to see them both on the pitch for a lengthy time, not just the sort of. Quite often when Isaac's been the sub, he's come on instead of Wilson. I would like to see them playing together, but I think that's work in progress for after the cup final and after probably Man City. I think those 3 games will be going in with pretty much what we've had. Music and interruption. The midfield, I think, again, it's going to depend on whether Willock's available. It may well be that you play somebody, like Gordon in the midfield where he did last week, and you do shuffle it around a bit. But I'm hoping they're all fit. I hope Willock's fit, and we can get the midfield that we expect. That isn't too much change from what we've had, play like we have been, on the front foot. I think Gordon also is likely to be able to do a press better. We've missed the press. That hasn't been happening in the last few games. And I think Gordon's more likely to be able to do that. And with Almiron. And, let's see if we can put pressure on their back. That's not the greatest defence. Also, whoever's going to take on Alexander Arnold, I think that, is Gordon the better one to do that, or Maxi? That's where we can win the game, I think, going down that side.
Yeah. Whose phone's that? Because that went right through. Whose was it?
Someone's hearing it or something.
I do somebody's phone. We heard like Arabian music to start with, and then we heard like a ping. So it's clearly just coming in, but I just don't know where it's coming back on to say who it is. Kevin.
Well, like I said the other day, I'd put a cat amongst the pigeons and go into a 3, but I'll rebuke that and take that back because I think that's the worst idea I've ever had. But that's me as a coach because I tinker, I move around and play what we've got and what you have based on injury, based on a lot of things. However, within the Bournemouth game, like I said the other day, we did go to a 4-2-3-1 essentially with Joe Linton and Longstaff sitting with Gordon in behind. But the problem with that is Joe Linton and Sean Longstaff seemed like they were lost. They didn't know how to play in that role. So essentially, when you play against Liverpool, they're going to play 4-3-3 in some way, shape, or form. So you got to outnumber them somewhere. And I agree with Steve Hasty that the outnumbering the midfield. So again, I would agree with Stu, but I wouldn't play ASM in behind. I would play Gordon in behind. Just based on the fact of what Steve Wilkinson said about the higher press, I think Gordon can unlock a pass a little bit better. I think the pace, what ASM would bring from wide against Alexander Arnold will be a different battle and interesting. Same with depending on who puts on the right side with Robertson left back. But again, I think if we overload the midfield area and basically you'll play a 4 versus 6, 4 Newcastle players, 6 Liverpool players, but then you've got a 1v1, whoever plays in the point of their triangle. So whoever goes, you can create multiple overloads, multiple attacking options from that, because I think they're very, like we've all said, I think they're very slow. I think very timid defensively. So I think if we overload them up at the top end of the field and stop the ball, because it looked like they were going quite direct against Everton. They pretty much Sean diced themselves.
Yeah.
It was like, how quickly can they go forward and early as possible? Because they got the 3 up top who are big and quick, with Salah drifting everywhere else. So again, it's stopping that ball forward, that entry ball into the final third. How can we do that quickly? Can we do that effectively? I mean, Alisson can play with both feet. That's, he's one of the top keepers in the world. But again, that's what I would go. And I agree with Mitch. I think just get Gordon around every player in a red shirt and just get in the face, pretty much, and kick the snot out of him and just be a little housery, dark arts, stand on them, do whatever, just whispering, whatever he's got to do. Again, I completely agree. And again, it's something that we have to embed into him. But he has to remain in control. Yeah. He can't get caught up in the mini Merseyside derby that he could have with himself against Liverpool, but he's got to be controlled in the way he does it. So I'll just tweak it slightly, not go to a 3, because we're not. That's a bit, that was a bit off the cuff. But I just thought I'd put the cat amongst the pigeons. But I think we'll go 4-2-3-1 or some variation of that. It all depends on who they play. Not that we're worried about them. It'll just be a variation of that shape.
Yeah. Okay. Information that came out from the club today as well. I'm not sure whether emails have dropped in various inboxes today, but season tickets for 23-24. It looks overall, unless I'm going to stand to be corrected by people in the chat, that there's been a price freeze again. Prices are unchanged. Been 1 or 2 slight increases, but by the by, it sounds as if they've kept it as it was. What's your thoughts on that, George? It's great. Well, I guess.
Haven't seen mine and Neil's. It looks like it's ours are the same price. There's no doubt about that. You agree, Neil? Think it's the same price? Yeah,
it is.
So that was good news. Yeah,
Steve. I mean, that's a great gesture on behalf of the club again. That they're not putting things up, especially with the way things are in this country at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely. And that excuse me, that shows what sort of a club we've got. People are running it, the right idea. Maybe didn't get the ticketing right, but in terms of the season ticket, everything moving forward, can't complain, can we?
No, definitely not, Stu. I mean, I know we've got lots of money, potentially to spend, at the club, but passing it on when all we're seeing is bills going up and, council tax now being announced going up over here. It's good news for those people back home.
That's fantastic PR as well. It shows that there is a care for the fans and the fans are appreciated, which can't have been said by many clubs, or especially this one, for a long, long time. So it's a very good, it's a nice touch, but I think we're all fully aware as well the majority of the income the club generates isn't from the season ticket. It's money that comes in. So again, it's still nice to do, and I believe if we do get Champions League, or shall I say, when we do get Champions League football, then I think most people would expect, and you're never happy paying more money, but would expect to pay a rise and understand why. There was one thing I wanted to talk about, Steve, was the Garang Kual.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I've seen it. He's been getting not him, but the club he's at, Hearts, which is my dad's club. My family's from Edinburgh, and he lives in Newcastle, but he's got a season ticket with the Heeds dad to go up to every game. And we've got friends up there who go all the way games. Just to give you a bit of feedback. Now, bear in mind, he's just a young kid with only a small transfer fee, so we haven't inherited or bought the new Lionel Messi. We've bought raw potential. Now, when he first got to Scotland, Hearts are the 3rd biggest club in Scotland, and they're very much a community club, very family-based, family-driven club. The fact that the fans own the club as well. So what's happened with him is Hearts are having a good season in comparison If you take Celtic Rangers out the league, they're well clear at the top. But what he was brought in, and then he got a severe cold, so he was out. But his first game he played, he could come up with 10 minutes, 15 if you include injury time, and he showed some flashes of really, really good play. But Hearts are scoring a lot of goals, and he wasn't sent to Hearts to start for them every game. He was sent to integrate into the UK style, and Edinburgh's pretty similar to Newcastle climate-wise. There's also Australian players, World Cup players in the Hearts squad. There's 3 or 4. So that made him feel at home, and it was a great choice. So he was getting more minutes, but recently Hearts have had a couple of games against Hamilton and Livingston. Now, these teams play on artificial pitches, and the last thing they want to do is risk a young talent like that who's not theirs and get him injured. So they're looking after him. The manager himself has said, look, he will get more time. He'll get 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there, and I'm sure he will get a full run out. So he's getting looked after. So all these people saying bring him back and stuff like that, he's at the right club. Just to put people's mind at rest, he's at the right club. I've also realised that's Man City Arsenal's on tonight, isn't it? I don't think it was Champions League.
7:30.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of fitness. I went for a nice afternoon walk today, and then I was just going to go to bed and watch a film. Now I'm going to have to stay up and watch the football.
I take it you're going from bar to bar, Stu.
No, I haven't been to a bar for a while. It's got to be at least...
Well, we know that.
4 days. No, it's good. I'm saving it all up for when we get to London. That's what I'm saving that for.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Yeah. Just ticket price freezes are great. I will lead for supporters, and it's good PR as Stu says.
Of course, because there are a lot of ways to increase the merchandise and the money, and shouldn't this season ticket holder shouldn't be one of them.
Yeah. Steve, did you get an email this morning?
Yes, mine's gone up 8 pence a month. I'm going to think about whether I'm going to renew.
Rich.
Round and error, I guess. But as Stu and Alweed just said, nowadays the gate money isn't the main commercial income for the club, and why have the controversy of putting it up by any amount that would cause unrest? So it makes sense to do that. So yeah, no problem at all.
And Kev, obviously you have a season ticket. I mean, I presume you'll have had an email as well. But it is good news.
Nope.
Newcastle not putting the season tickets up.
Yeah, it's great. I didn't get one. It's on my mum's name, and we just swapped it over when my dad passed away and stuff like that. So I'll just get the luxury of flying over and get my own seat, so I don't have to worry about that. But no, it's fantastic. Obviously for for the cost of the whole thing, the whole experience, the whole day thing. But what I did write down was, and I've said this before, of what I've experienced here at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium is the number one, probably pretty much in the whole country, is where concessions, your food, your beverages, and all the other stuff that goes with the match day experience will reduce. Because I could take my kids, so myself, my Keegan, and maybe a couple others, and spend about $100, and you can get hot dogs for $2.50 type of thing. So they'll market it very well over here to the fan. So I think that's what we'll, as season ticket holders, and what hopefully those who go lucky enough get to the stadium every week should see, and reduction of food and reduction of teas, coffees, whatever stuff like that. Because obviously, as we all know, the more you buy, the more less it is you're going to spend more. It's a simple business model what they have here. So, I mean, you're going to pay a little bit more for certain things depending on where you sit. It's all tiered out. Closer to the field, you're going to pay more money. Just how it works over here. But yeah, I think it's fantastic, and we'll just see what happens from a fan experience standpoint.
Yeah, as always, great show. Kevin, Steve, our lead, Stu, Steve, Mitch, and George. Thanks for joining us. I'm back 10 o'clock in the morning with Super Matt and Gibbo. Until then, good night. God bless.
Good night, lads.
Good night, lads. Have a good one. Cheers.